Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast for yet another full moon rundown with my dear friend and our favorite astrologer, Mary Dusina. Mary, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm in a state of decompressing with the time change here in the mountains. You know, when we go back to Eastern time, everybody's kind of walking around like, what just happened? But as always, as I remind my friends and my clients, and for the sake of our world, I'm grateful. I've shifted my whole medicine way path to my discipline for myself is no matter what's going on out there, I will find how to do kindness, how to work with the frequencies of abundance with gratitude, and look more at what I do have, what is peaceful and harmony in my world, besides just looking at the well, that didn't happen for me and that didn't come through. It's like, yeah, whatever. I'm forging the path of peace. I want to be the way of the peaceful warrior. Make no mistake about it. We have warrior energies and commitments that we will align with and abide by. But I'm really finding a lot of rapid fire manifestations of the things that I desire or that I wish or that make my life easier by staying focused. My compass is gratitude. My compass is authenticity, transparency, and gratitude, and taking that out into the world. So I'm good. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
good.
thankful.
Good. Well, I mean, we're recording this just on the heels of post-election. And did you feel this? I don't know how you felt. It was like the day after the election when the results were coming in and all of that. I found myself exhausted on Wednesday, like absolutely,
Yeah.
utterly exhausted, where by 4 o'clock, I'm like, I better make dinner because I think I'm going to pass out soon. And then by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after I'd eaten my dinner, I was like watching, of all shows, I was watching The Diplomat on Netflix, and which is such a great show. But I was watching it and I could barely keep my eyes open. And I'm like, why do I feel so exhausted? And I think that, there's part of the country that was not happy with the results, and completely understand that. But the majority of the country, as we can see from the polling, probably was breathing a big sigh of relief. And I wonder if it was just like that, when you're like, what's going to happen? I don't know. But I felt so exhausted on Wednesday. Like, okay, finally, I think I can let go. Maybe it was just knowing what's going on.
I think, yeah, I really feel, and I felt this intuitively, I really feel a big piece of it is that people are still healing and releasing from the lockdowns in 2020. And we had that alignment on winter solstice in 2020. We had, the Saturnian Capricorn stuff, and we had the Pluto, the great transformer, had gone in 2008. And you have to go back when it comes to something like you live in a country and it's a big deal. It's one of the world powers, this country is. And the United States, as people have talked about ad nauseum, was coming to its first Pluto return, which for beginners, Pluto is the great transformer. And so the familiar, it goes this way now. This is the way life is. This is what government does. This is what we don't do. Everybody got a shockwave in 2008 when Pluto, between 2008 and 2012, when Pluto went into Capricorn, the stock market, the mortgage crisis, the Madoff, the people that were doing unscrupulous things with the housing market or stock gains, losses. And Pluto has to do, there's a dark sign to each one of the sides, there's plus or minus, as I call it, to each one of the 12 flavors of the zodiac. And Capricorn's energetic signature, which was very active at this particular election in America, is all about, I want power no matter what. And when I get power, I'm going to hypnotize people to drink of my cup of power and to salute me, which could be said since 2008 with either side of this political spectrum, and the opinions and what we would stand up for, and the divide started. And then in, whether you want to call it far left, far right, and then, but Pluto's the hidden factor because Pluto rules Scorpio. So there were a lot of things, the whole thing going on with Hollywood and Diddy and all of these type of things being exposed, and then we came to 2016, and all the celebrities said, if that particular person wins the American presidency, I'm leaving the country. You know, and they started touting how that particular personality was so wrong to women. Then another division happened. There were women that were saying no. And so we started with the division between the male-female, the yin and yang. We started the division as far as what they declared were human rights with Roe versus Wade, and all kinds of things started being like thrown up like a word salad, just orbiting around all the time. But then there was a different kind of instability that happened with the Pluto return of America, was the fear of death with the COVID and the shots. And here came another division of who believed it medically and who didn't. And it shouldn't have mattered what someone chose to do with their own body. To me, that whole pandemic and that whole push by big pharma and the governments of the world and the lockdowns was part of trying to scare people, again, a type of bullying, to paralyze them in fear, and for ones to say, oh, no, you didn't, and other ones to go, well, okay, what is the big deal? So, and that shaming and that blaming started. It's like, if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. So it started to back people up with, I need to not maybe express my opinion, and I need to really look at we started looking at what's the fallout if I disagree with my fellow human. What if, families got divided, and people didn't get to go to their high school graduations. So there was in my world, it was huge that it was the first time in the world, beyond all the wars we've had, that different governments, I was just horrified that in Australia, because I've got Australian clients in New Zealand, they just took the children out of school and put them into an auditorium with no parental knowledge or permission at all, and said, this is Australia, whoever it was, I have no idea, you're all going to get this, these vaccines and stuff. And so it's like, wait, how can you take my child away from me? Let me be there at least to comfort my child. So all of this nefarious and what type of thing started to happen. And so the Aquarius, the sign after Capricorn, is we the people. And so what's happening is, around the time of this election, there was that Pluto, it's finishing up from when it went into Capricorn in 2008, and whether it's Saturn or it's Pluto, especially, I've learned after doing this for 4 decades, that when they are finishing up a longer type of transit, Uranus with its 7 years, and Pluto with its 18 to 24 years, and Neptune with its 14 years, we've had these outer planets. So when they trigger our personal charts or a country's charts, it's not going to happen within that given year. There's seeds that are planted of a bigger, universal, epic, spiritual, consciousness raising type of occurrences. And when we have major shifts in our psychological, spiritual, material world, it's high tide, low tide, and it's a process of being able to bounce back. So when we had the election, I feel, now personally, my own little humble opinion is that I believe a lot of astrologers got too invested in their own subjective opinion of who they wanted to win. You cannot do that. Mm-hmm. As a therapist. You cannot do that. Yeah. As an astrologer, an intuitive, a life coach, you have to look at it as it is and go from there. And I believe that the part of the psychosis hypnosis on both sides was that they so didn't want her. or so didn't want him to get it, that they weren't even doing fact checking of how was the last 4 years with wars and the economy, food prices, the animal, the type of stuff versus, well, how was it? We had actions. Actions speak louder than words. How was the economy in 2000? How was the economy from 2016 up to 2020? And there was that whole big rumor mill. Some of the stuff I'm sure, because I'm not on the need to know basis, and Spirit could give a damn about political details. And as far as I'm concerned, in that sense, it's how it's affecting us. And I believe the 2020 lockdown, and I believe this bizarre, both candidates could care or could care less about us individually. So it's about a collective movement. And so the ending of Pluto in this last degree, for you beginners, each one of the signs has a 30-degree span. So when a planet gets to that 29th degree, it's getting ready, and they all travel at different speeds. The moon moves the fastest, Pluto the slowest as far as their movement. They're traveling through the signs. So Pluto, the longest one, is making, and I usually find that when it's changing into another sign, there's some kind of big crisis that goes on in the world. So it's going into the sign of Aquarius. And this month, November 19th, shortly after, it's a part of this full moon, because this full moon is ruled by Uranus. Yeah, so I believe that we, the people, decided that they needed some kind of revolutionary change and a radical candidate. I do believe the persona of President Donald Trump is more radical and committed in the approach rather than the Libra Aries combination of the Democratic candidate of Kamala Harris. And a lot of stuff, the nodes have been in Aries. She's got Aries in her chart. She's a Libra with an Aries. She's born at the full moon of Libra Aries. There were a lot of things that it's like not her time. Now, maybe in 4 years, they'll present her, maybe Gavin Newsom or her as one of their main choices. There's always the wild card. I will tell you, with Pluto going into Aquarius, nothing is as predictable as it once was. And all of these avenues that politicians and marketing people and strategists, and well, I'm the insurance companies, and I've always been a powerful lobbyist in Washington, and I'm the insurance companies, and I'm big pharma, and I'm this, and you have to, and I'm the head of the agriculture, and I'm the head, all those people that have held that kind of Capricornian power for a long time. So this was the first Pluto return for America. So anybody that was just dipped their toe in astrology started saying in 2008, rut-row, Pluto just went into Capricorn, and United States being a Cancer, July 4th, just some astrologers also look at July 2nd when it was signed, but that still makes it a moonchild Cancer. Pluto was in opposition, and the United States chart has the moon in Aquarius ruled by Uranus. And so here we have all of this energy that's taking place. We had the eclipse on October 2nd that was, finishing off a bit of this Libra energy, and eclipses they tend to complete things. So it didn't really favor a Libra Aries dynamic candidate more than all of our charts. All of our charts have really easy things and stressful things. So when astrologers start picking on just one part of the portrait of a person, and then they add their own subjective, well, I want this to happen, so I'm going to look for the good, or I'm going to look for the bad.
That's
then
what
I
I
think
felt, like when I was watching, there's a couple things I want to make a point here on, because you brought up a couple things that I think are important to just clarify even more. I felt that as I was watching these astrologers do their predictions, I felt like they were minimizing the certain strengths that were in Trump's chart and over enhancing the ones in Kamala's. And it wasn't major. Let's face it, the charts were very close in energies and all that. But at the end of the day, when you look at the campaigns, which this is why Mary and I do this show for you guys. This is why we discuss the lunar with Mary. She does the full moon with me, with Joe Roop on Lighting the Void. She does the new moon. So you guys can always kind of check in on these new cycles. And it's important because the moon moves the fastest through the zodiac. So this is deeply affecting us, right? We are doing this to prepare you to align your energies and to seize opportunities when they come so that you're ready for them, but also to help you navigate more challenging aspects so they don't have to hit you as hard as they might if you didn't know they were coming. And this is like,
Yes.
how do you align your life? How do you make certain choices? This is the whole reason why you use astrology to your own benefit, is not necessarily just for the prediction aspect, but like, how can I take advantage of the energies and put myself in more opportunity type events? So I look at the campaigns, and I think it's really easy to say that Kamala ran one of the worst campaigns in presidential history. All she did
Yes.
was
Yes.
trash Trump. And what she
Yeah.
doesn't realize, and what so much of the mainstream media doesn't realize, is that you can't continue to do that, because that really diminishes the intelligence of the people who you need to be on your side. And the fact that we're looking at our livelihood, I can look at my grocery bill and know that I am paying double what I did just a few years ago. I can look and see the crime rate around me, especially being in Denver,
Yep.
Colorado, and the Venezuelan gangs in
Yep.
Aurora. I'm like, don't tell me crime hasn't gone up like crazy. There are people being brought into this city left, right, and center. Child sex
Mm.
trafficking since the administration came in is 3 times higher than it was
Yeah.
when before they got in. So like, I can look at my, and these are numbers that are on the government website, okay? These are not numbers that are just I'm looking for them. They're literally on government.gov websites. And so when you don't actually run on any policies and you don't actually do anything meaningful to give me any faith that you're going to lead us out of this problem, how can anyone get behind you other than people who just have a blind hatred for Trump, right? And
Well, yeah,
so
and yeah, you're right. Both sides, one side was touting they weren't being negative, but their actual words and actions were condemning, were shame blaming. And yet they didn't have the 4 years as evidence of, to your point, the inflation was soaring, the border crisis was a real thing. Nobody's complaining about anybody coming to a country, do it legally. Both sides should agree on that. You know,
yeah.
both sides should agree on that. So, and I have clients in New Mexico. I have clients that are out there on the border, Eagle Pass, Texas, and all that. And they're saying, look, 3 generations of our family have lived here. And you've just got people coming over, and the border guards have to sit there and say, we're told to stand down. We're told to stand down. And you know, the kids that are being trafficked, like you said, missing children and all. I have people, I say to these people, I have a Nancy Red Star is an author out in, she wrote Star Ancestors, which is fabulous. It's the First Nations people, stories about the stars and the star beings. So it blends in the whole UFO, anomalous, Aquarian alien thing, and the history of that and why it's on the cave drawings. She was telling me back in 2012, she was telling me, I walked this desert barefoot. She's a beautiful Indian woman, like in her 7th decade. She's a filmmaker. I walked this desert barefoot in Taos, New Mexico here. She said, Mary, I don't understand it. There are dozens, it's 2012, there are dozens of Middle Eastern men in the desert. I said, Nancy, why are you walking through that desert barefoot like that? I know you've done it since a child. You're 7 generations of native peoples there, indigenous cultures. That's your area. And you're interviewing the elders. And she said, I don't think they want to be discovered right now. And that's why they're not like attacking the people that are coming through here. She said, they're all over. And I said, that's so odd. So then you open up the borders. And I listened to different kind of podcasts that it's an Oriental guy that was there at Fukushima. He's traveled over to California, and he said, I'm Oriental, I'm more stealth. And he said, and he said, okay, I'm Japanese. I know how to recognize that there are single Chinese nationals coming through the border. I went to the border on purpose to look. There are people from Nigeria, Ethiopia. It's not just Mexico. It's not, he goes, it is wild. And of course, any human has compassion for people that are living in dire straits. We know about Argentina and Venezuela when they've gone socialist, communist type of things versus when the economy is thriving. So these are pendulums that swing. And so we, the people now, what's shifted is we, the people, have said, enough is enough. It has absolutely nothing to do with us idolizing or worshiping, as some like to call a dictator. It's like, do you have the destiny? Do you have the stuff? You like to win. You like to talk numbers. You got 4 years now, do it. You did do it as much as you could 4 years ago. I was alive then, and I saw my gas prices, my food prices, and there were no wars. Those are called facts. Those are called facts. And I noticed in the last 4 years, the wars and then this, and I'm not totally blaming that on any one political party. I'm just looking at the facts. And so when someone, people say Trump brags, when someone brags and someone declares, they put themselves in a position that now they really better have the proof of the pudding. You're making a lot of claims. And so let's see if you can now, because of what you went through, because I don't remember anybody in history that comes to mind. Maybe y'all will. I don't remember anyone in history that went through it's got to be a karmic thing, so much
It's
vitriol
I
and
believe
attack.
Abraham Lincoln.
Did he?
Was it
Did he get that much hate?
I think it was Lincoln. I don't know. Do you follow the Leo King astrologer?
I like him. I like
Yeah,
David Palmer a
he's
lot.
awesome. I just like his no BS. Like this is
And
how it
he's
is,
what
and if you
he
don't
said.
like it, leave. Like I love that attitude so much. And I know you do too. Like you and I are very
Yeah.
similar
Well.
in that. Like take it or leave it, and if you leave it, that's cool. Like no hard feelings.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. What? Yeah. Bye.
what he did was he went back and he actually looked at the time when he was running, and it was very, very similar to what happened, and it was the same kind of alignments that he had that also Trump had for this election, and it was basically almost like you it was like literally like as if like the mainstream media and the Democratic Party went back in time and took the exact kind of words and started saying the exact same thing they said about Lincoln, like you're a racist, you're this, he's a Nazi, he's a racist, he's not for the black people, and like and meanwhile, Lincoln won the black vote, like
Of
back
course.
then. And so it's like it was so interesting to see back in history the same cycles repeating and the patterns that were so identical in what was every media source back then of what their media sources were tearing him down, but still he won. Even he wasn't on some of the ballots. They had taken him off certain ballots and he still
Oh,
won.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think there's a dance with destiny here.
Hmm.
And I believe that there is some kind of humanitarian, some kind of upper world, heavenly, higher dimensional type of dynamic for we the people that's going on with who destiny and the forces of light are having come in at this time. The things that I remembered when I had looked at, I don't think there's anybody better than somebody that specializes in astrological history like David Palmer, aka Leo King, people that go back and look at geographical astrology and all that kind of stuff. So I leave that to people that specialize in that.
Mhm.
But one thing that I did notice about, when I looked at November, was that Donald Trump's midheaven, if the information is correct, and there's always, that factor, what we're given as far as the birth data, is that his midheaven, the very top, the zenith, where the midheaven, your 10th house, is esoterically, spiritually, the cross that we bear this lifetime and how we're able to ascend and resurrect and transform ourselves off the heaviness of the four directions on the medicine wheel, because the cross is your ascendant, your rising sign is one side of the cross. To the native peoples, it's the east. Then we go down to the floor level of the cross, and we have the fourth house, our family, our clan, our karmic soul contracts with these people that we arrive with, who birthed us, who seeded us, the family dynamic and the childhood theater. Then we go to the west side of that cross, and this is where we come into our significant others, our polarities, those that are opposite of us in the dynamic of their celestial elements and sign qualities and yin yang. And then you get to the 10th house, the zenith of the chart, the high view of the chart, the peak. It's Mount Kilimanjaro. We're looking at the panoramic view. And so those 4 signs in all of our natal charts, our nativities, those 4 signs, the sign on the east, the ascendant, the sign at the bottom of the chart, the 4th that opens up the 4th house, the 7th house, the descendant, and the top of the chart, the midheaven. This is the core qualities of our soul contract, period. Amen. Learn those elements, why they're so pronounced. If you came in with fire, air, if you came in with earth, fire, it matters if you start at the element of what these represent. And so Trump had at his midheaven 24 degrees of Taurus. This full moon is at the 24th, 25th, 20th, and moon moves the fastest. So it's hitting between the 24th and the 25th degree. It's the 4th supermoon in a row. Supermoons are where the moon is closest to the earth. And in the celestial language, in astrology, the supermoon is going to ramp us up energetically. So normally, full moons are times of what needs to end. New moons are times of what needs to be seeded or initiated. So I believe that these factors, with him having the great star Regulus in that Leo, he's got a rising sign that's an anarchic degree. It's 29 degrees of Leo. So the sun becomes the most pronounced thing in that president's chart. So he may be a Gemini. Jupiter's also been bouncing around in Gemini this year. He may be a Gemini, but he has his Mars and he has his rising sign in the sun ruling sign of Leo. So he has come here, and I do feel it's a part of him. He didn't care, like the Leo King is a Leo. He didn't care whether you like him personally or not. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to fight for. Leos are heroes in the sense that the lion will not back down once they've committed to a mission or a purpose. And that's why David Palmer's very authentic on the Leo King broadcast and podcast and High Vibe TV, where he says, this is what it is. I don't care whether you like me or not. You can troll all you want to. I don't need your approval. I'm just doing what I do. So it doesn't make me better if you like me or not. And that's very true. It's very true, because he can't be jaded. He's going to do the astrology the way he's going to do astrology. And historically, I think he's the best I've ever seen as far as going back with historical perspective.
Yeah, his mundane astrology is incredible.
Yeah, so Trump had, a lot of astrologers were talking about Algol, the Medusa effect, the off with the head, you can lose your head, the Queen of Hearts, and Alice in Wonderland. And when she goes down the rabbit hole, the Queen of Hearts is running around, which is the Queen of Cups and tarot cards of off with their head, off with their head. And then you have the assassination attempt, several, but the one that clipped the ear, that if anything had been any different, would have gone right into the head. It would have been a headshot. It was meant to be a headshot. I will tell you that I didn't see who was going to get it. I never felt any energy with the Democratic candidate. I don't feel like it was fair that they didn't have several, like whatever they call that, the Democratic convention. I felt like there should have been several options and not just somebody pushed to the forefront like that the Democratic people didn't get to see others might campaign.
No
Yeah,
democracy there.
To me, that was very jaded and very Machiavellian and deliberate. I didn't think that was fair to her. I didn't think it was fair to the Democrats. I'm like, that's weird. So when I say the pendulum is swinging back the other way, November 19th, we've got Pluto going into Aquarius. This full moon is ruled by Uranus, which rules Aquarius, and it's in Taurus. And so Taurus, the stock market, our homes, real estate, our mortgages, the cost of cars, food, what's going on with animals and the agriculture and crops and these, how quickly we forget.
Oh my God, Peanut the squirrel.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and now you did study the story of I think it's 43 rhesus monkeys. They're young, escaped a biolab in South Carolina. So I laughed the other night, and I'm like, well, that's Peanut the squirrel and the raccoon. That's all the monkeys going out there to give them more of a distraction. You kill the animal kingdom. We're gonna be up in the trees and watching you. It's just interesting how close together that was.
Yeah.
And I feel like that what's happening is, I feel that the higher powers of light doesn't mean that they like Trump over Kamala. There is a frequency of Aquarius that says, okay, enough of this focus, since Uranus went into Taurus, enough of this focus just on what you have in your material world, the money you're going to make, the money that you're going to take a leap of faith with, what you're going to invest in, what you're going to consolidate, and what you're going to liquidate. What's happening now with the Aquarian factor, we're going to be reminded, and Nicole and I were talking about it before we came on air, we're going to be reminded about there's those people you meet that say, I don't believe in it unless I can see it, touch it, smell it, and own it. Okay, so there's the Taurus factor of what's reality to me. It's what's right in front of me, what my mortgage is, if my car's paid off or not, what I've got in the bank, how I can feed my kids, how I can open up a new business. Okay, that's Taurian type of energy. But the Aquarian energy reminds us we arrived on Earth. Taurus is the first fixed Earth sign. Our body temple arrived through a biological container. Even if you had a surrogate mother, a seed got into a cell and started to grow, and we're a fruit of that labor. And we arrived with no clothes on our back. Our umbilical cord was our lifeline as a biological unit. We were born with nothing. We didn't yet, except maybe on a spiritual, karmic, heart to soul level, we did not know how to say our parents' names. We did not know how to feed ourselves. The umbilical cord did it. We weren't used to loud noises. We weren't used to the sensations of really hot or really cold. The temperature was steady the whole time in utero. And so we arrive after a fierce labor. But we arrive totally financed by fate, destiny, God, your karma, Buddha, whatever you want to call it. We arrived completely naked and vulnerable. And there were people that I'm pretty much leaning in on the fact that you may not have remembered as that frail yet magical infant. You may not remember the nurse's name or her face or the doctor, the physician that delivered you, who cut the umbilical cord. You may not remember all of that, but there were agents on this new planet that got you and helped finance you, air quotes, back you, provide security for you, and you and I are still alive right now talking. So that factor of we came in with nothing, like in a material world, like we come to prioritize and we give it far too much energy. It's all a movable feast. It's all a feast in motion. And even when you go into soul study, and even when you go into chakra alignments, and when you go into hallucinogenic type of episodes and all, you realize that it's what is driving us. What is it? So we can debate and argue just like a political election. Is it God? Is it Buddha? Is it Krishna? Is it Mohammed? People can have all these different opinions, but how's life going for you? Yeah. And are you looking at the fact that there are a lot of maybe undefinable, truly unknowable, out there yet to be discovered, and take the great adventure of faith as your fuel? There's a lot of dynamic, you can't see them, you can't hold them, you can't touch them all the time, forces that we have some kind of like soul arrangement with, contract with. We're given choice. We can be really, really crappy, mean beings with our personality and our egos. We can be greedy. We can laugh at how we can market and get a whole bunch of money out of people and take advantage of people. Or we can choose, like, no, I wouldn't want that done to me, so I'm not going to act that way. And maybe I'll have less money. Maybe all of a sudden I'll get a big windfall, but I'm not going to take advantage of people simply because right is right and wrong is wrong. And so there are people that live for their earth life, that they don't believe anything happens after death. Grab it all while you can, have sex, party, get a dick. Who gives a damn? When you're out of here, you're out of here. And they don't care about the core development of their character. There are people like that. And I believe with Pluto and Aquarius, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, now it's spirit's turn. Aquarius is the heavens. Aquarius is the ancient rules of life, the truths of the soul and the heart, all the indigenous cultures, whichever way they wanted to spin the truth, that said, yeah, this worked for me. Yep, this worked for me. Yep, that killed them. That made them sad for the rest of their life. That fractured them. That broke them. Aquarius is about, you're going to have, talk about shockwaves, you're going to have so many bold, intuitive experiences. Those of you that have never seen a UFO, UP, those of you that have never had any kind of dream experience, out-of-body experience, see your guardian angel guide, be able to say, wow, I never even thought I could accept that, go through that, believe that, was worthy of that. And bam, I had a vision. I had a prophetic event that happened. I had a crisis illness. Someone that I loved dearly was told that they were going to die, and it shifted and it didn't happen the way it was predicted. So my statement on it all is that what we just saw in this election is pretty much going to be the position and the posture we need to take of, I didn't see that coming, and yet the change is favorable. If I could encapsulate it, I didn't see it exactly as it was coming, but things are getting better because of that shock wave. But whether it's a red wave or med beds or you being able to shatter once and for all the things that have haunted you and taunted you and crippled you psychologically because of early childhood things, abusive things in relationships, Aquarius is like, knock it off, go to neutral, take it higher, and let's get some tools of the heavens and the stars and Reiki and therapy, and let's do different try the different path that you never allowed yourself to try before, because Taurus is tradition. My mama did it that way, and that's good enough for me. My daddy did it that way, and that's what I'm going to do too. Some of that was really great. Take the traditions and the cultural strengths that you've come in with this lifetime, this incarnation. Let those be in your cachet, your treasure box of like, yeah, this I like, this works for me. It brings my energy up. I level up with this. If it's Catholic or Presbyterian or Native American, whatever it is, sound healing, singing, dancing, whatever it is. And let the stuff that debilitates you, drains you, break up with it, divorce it. And I'm going to say with the sun in Scorpio and all this is going on with Taurus and Scorpio and Mars and Leo right now, bury it. Bury it. Be done. Be done. Pluto is the great death and the awakening, and you've got to bury that which over time, every time you get triggered by it, causes you to go back into a pattern of your energy gets drained, you're sad, you're angry, you reach for the coping mechanism. I don't give a shit if it's pot or cigarettes or whatever it is. You know, you got to have the pill, you got to have the party, you got to get too drunk. You can't just drink, you got to get too drunk. You can't just enjoy sex, you got to go out there and plow through people like they're a box of Kleenex. So Scorpio is saying, not just this election, what just happened for you in the 3D world is exactly what we're bringing into your world now as a wake-up call, and it's going to rise up even strong. Write it down. Mark my prophecy on this. It's going to be really strong that we graduate in huge ways, whether we stay on the planet or not, whether we thought this is what our work was going to be, this was the relationship we were going to have, everything, our new plan and our new 5D construction or vision quest is going to be in April, May of 2025. And there's a lot of moving parts coming together now with this full moon in Taurus, because Taurus is the bull. Taurus is the element of Earth. It's Mother Earth. It's Gaia. And she's saying, you want to think about exhaustion? I'm still recouping from the people that got hit so hard by this very unusual monster hurricane season of Helene and Milton, you know, that really hit the mountains. I was born in the mountains. Let me tell you, I don't ever remember anybody talking about something that hit Western North Carolina like it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it wasn't just the water. It wasn't just the wind. The mountains wept. And because of all that dirt and because of all the wind-driven forced water, I mean, the houses literally, people watched their houses that they have a mortgage on and the cars and that they pay for Taurus stuff. There's so many accounts, but I know people in these places in Asheville and Murphy and Silva and Swano. I'm boots on the ground in this area. And they told me I would have never, I mean, the house just floated away. It just floated away. Some people are on the roof. Some people, I mean, you couldn't even get boats in there to help people because there was so much biological and debris in the water, and it had a force to it. So fate stepped in. So I see this as, it's like hide and seek. Ready or not, here I come. Who's it and who's going to make it back to base? And we cannot look at things the way that our cultures and our politics and the things that we grew up with, some of even our family dynamics, some of those have to level up too. We're going to have to look at the individualistic aspect as a spiritual power with the majesty of the divine, the unseen, the energies that we feel, and we all know in our life. I shifted when that happened. Oh boy, that changed me. So those kind of things are what's going to be coming in with the force,
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, start embracing the light. Start doing affirmations and intentions with yourself that I am in harmony with the light. I allow love's light. I allow win-win scenarios and situations, and I rebuke toxic truth. I rebuke nefarious agendas, and I cast aside away from me, be gone. You have no power here. These false snake oil salesmen and the wizard behind the curtain, no matter how much money they have, no matter how many friends they have in Washington, D.C. or Europe or Ukraine or wherever it is, I believe that this full moon said enough. And now we're going to, at the very least, we're going to lay it out there equal for everybody. We're going to expose what the
Well,
real deal is.
Yeah. Okay. So with this full moon in Taurus, I think it's important to understand that there is obviously Uranus brings in a very shocking element, something that's
Yep.
unexpected, right? You don't see it coming, or what it could be good. It could be like a breakthrough for you. It could be something that maybe destabilizes something for you. But if it's destabilizing something for you, it's because it's getting you stable somewhere else that's better for you. It's like where you were
Better
wasn't
outcome.
good. Now, like Mary said, the sun is in Scorpio because it's opposite the full moon. And so, with this Uranus, which is about freedom, breaking free, right? Enlightenment, like you said, it's pulling in the energies of the heavens. Scorpio is also like the sun is what's illuminating the moon, right? And so there's this illumination factor of something deep within your psyche or deep within the like the psychic wells of truth, your something for you to power, like looking into the powers in your own transformation, that is something in your subconscious mind, maybe even something deeply intuitive that is rising to the surface to show you what needs to be seen, what needs to be illuminated, that may shock you, that may rattle your cage in some way when it comes to your finances, when it comes to, your personal self-worth, your material world, like your land, like the farming, the food that you're eating, all of that stuff that Mary has covered. Okay. But it's like, it's bringing that up because whenever we have this axis on the Taurus Scorpio, you've got to balance these things out. But something definitely is coming in here that is a balancing act of your practical needs and the transformation that Scorpio is using right now, the deep wells of your own psyche that are coming up to the surface to help you understand what needs to shift here. Now,
Well
that all
said.
being said,
Well said.
we got to also talk. It's Taurus full moon. The ruler of Taurus is Venus. So we have to look at where Venus is right now in the sky, and she is in Capricorn, which she likes Capricorn because, well, Capricorn is committed, right? Capricorn is responsible and likes to get the job done. And so when the fact that Venus is in Capricorn is great because it is bringing in some more steady, grounded energy into this Uranus shocking energy that we're going to be experiencing. But more importantly, is she is squaring the nodes of fate. So, like, I think the next day after she's coming into the exact square, but it's close enough that it's definitely impacting this Taurus full moon because this full moon is getting its messages from Venus in Capricorn. And so when Venus is squaring the nodes, this is looked at as a skip step in evolutionary astrology. And this means that we all have a lesson to learn. We're all having a lesson to learn that allows us to clear something from our past, South Node, which is in Libra, and also allows us to embrace in our future North Node where our solutions are found. It's not our comfort zone. Okay, so we're going into unknown territory a little here. So Venus in Capricorn to me is also bringing in this flavor to this new moon, or this full moon, of what lessons do you need to learn around your, perhaps it's commitment to relationships, because Venus does rule relationships, but because this is a full moon in Taurus, about like, what do you need to lead yourself with when it comes to how do you need to become more responsible with your money? How do you need to become more responsible with how you're earning money? Be like, maybe it's your material world, maybe it's your food, your diet. Where are you getting your food? Where are you sourcing your food? All of these things are kind of coming up. And it's like being that Capricorn energy is the desire of Venus is it's time to take responsibility for this for yourself. It's time to be a leader and not a follower. It's about really getting clear about what needs to get done. So you may find that there is something you need to let go, clear out karmically in your very important one-to-one relationships because of the South Node in Libra. And this is all important relationships. Mary and I will always, this is not just your partner. This is all the people who are important to you, or this could be your clients. This could be if you're seeing a therapist, any kind of relationships, okay, that are important to you, that are one-to-one. And there's something in there that's like, I need to get out of this. I need to let go. Like Mary said, be done with it, bury it. It's gone. Like, let it go. Okay. And it's time to move forward into a little bit more of this Aries North Node of like reestablishing your new identity of how you're going to move forward, how you're ready to take on a new adventure. And this is, I think, going to be influencing also because what does Venus and Capricorn want? Venus wants results, right? She wants results. So
Yes.
something is
Yes.
coming from this shocking full moon that's going to give you the results, tangible results that you're really looking for, that's going to move the needle, probably in all areas Taurian. Okay. Again, your finances, your material world, your personal self-worth and value. Okay. All of that stuff is really kind of coming up.
It is. And there's a couple of other little interesting factors to this full moon. There's Jupiter, which naturally rules Sagittarius. Jupiter's in Gemini, and Jupiter's doing its little dance where it's doing a little retrograde dance. And we still got at the full moon, the opposite of Gemini, or the balance. Some people use the word polarity. The balance to Gemini is Sagittarius. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Mercury is in Sagittarius right now, and Jupiter is in, there's a fancy word, it's mutual reception. Jupiter is in Gemini. So this is exaggerated words. This is, the Capricorn factor is look at action. Look at the actions that people are taking, not just the sales pitch, not just the promise. So Jupiter loves to exaggerate, and Jupiter in opposition to Mercury around this orbit of this supermoon is saying, what is an adventure? Maybe I should just break all the molds, and I just really need to blow off some steam and decompress and, just trip the light fantastic. I need to get outside of myself. I've become too stagnant. As humanoids, humans tend to resist change. They do. We're all bold for change when we're little kids and we're going through teens and we're experiencing our scholastic adventures that we do. I'm going to try this and I'm going to dip my foot in that and I'm going to be rebellious and I'm not going to do it the way my parents say or my church says or whatever that is. And then we start to settle when our first Saturn return around 30, 29 to 31. And then we start laying down the foundation. Capricorn, to Nicole's point, is what is the foundation of your beliefs? What is the foundation of your work ethic or lack of? What is the foundation of your commitment to someone or something that matters to you? Or are you the problem in that relationship with work or with a potential mate? So what is the foundation of your commitment to, you couple up with somebody, but if you choose to bring children into the world, do you prioritize then the creation of the children more than the ups and downs of your coupleship? So Capricorn is about, you got to look at the long range view. Aquarius is about, this is the win for humanity. Let heaven step in to help humanity. Because we've all seen the jokes about the aliens, whether it's the Greys or the Nordics or whatever, up on another planet looking at Earth at some of the crap we do down here and the things we fight over and the way we maul and hurt each other and rip each other off. And the aliens are like, yeah, no, and no, we're not going to go down there. Let's go find another planet. You know, Earth is really beautiful, but man, are they mean to her, the plants and the animals and all that. Man, they're rough. So there's this otherworldly perspective. I believe that the energies right now with the Jupiter in Gemini, Pluto going into Aquarius, we're shifting elements. Let's look at the elements. So Jupiter's in Gemini and Pluto is going to move into air. The air quality by November the 19th starts to favor by sign, starts to favor, and by element, intellectual, vision, philosophical upgrades, wonderful face-to-face community seminars and ceremonies. It's going to be, even though Zoom and this and that is out there, Skype was once very popular too, you know, there's going to be the debates over AI. There's going to be so many wonderful, incredible technologies that come out and yet at the same time, we're going to be going, whoa, with Space Force and how many satellites and space junk and all that. There's going to be signs and wonders and marvels of the heavens. The other thing we've got going on is kind of a cradle effect in astrology. So you've got the Scorpio sun doing just fine with the Capricorn planets of Venus by sign, with Venus in Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn. It's good with that. Earth, Capricorn's Earth, Taurus is Earth. And then we've got the Scorpio sun also really digging on the fact that Saturn turns direct on, depending on your time zone, one of the days of November 15th, 16th. So Saturn's turning direct. Saturn has to do with our course corrections and how we can obtain good karma by stepping up to the plate of commitment. Saturn rules Capricorn. So Saturn's turning forward in Pisces. Pisces is, you got to feel it to heal it. So Saturn's going to go direct in Pisces. Neptune is already there. Neptune's still dancing around and getting ready to come to that late degree. Neptune's retrograde in November, it's closes out the month at like 27 degrees, and they're going to both pop into fire, Aries, in 2025. So what we have here is we have Taurus, our earthly life, our home, our shelter, the neighborhood, the congruency and the flow or the hassle and the conflict. So it's where you live, how you live. Are you still happy living right there in that city, in that state, in that country? I bet you 3 out of 10 clients that I dealt with over the last 2 months specifically said, I'm not going to live here. I'm not going to live this way anymore. And to Nicole's point, yes. Then all of a sudden, when we make a declaration, finances might be split. You might have to spend money on an attorney or a real estate agent or a lawyer or whatever it is in order to disengage from something that you had made a very heartfelt commitment to. And with our heartfelt commitments, we also have very strong emotional expectations, whether we speak it or not. I work hard at this job. You better recognize that. I'm a team player. I'm ethical. There's a lot of people lazy. It's not my job to point that out. I'm a team player. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to excel in my commitment. I'm going to be in a partnership. If I've decided to be exclusive with that other person in an intimate relationship, I'm going to have a discussion about, are we one-on-one? Are we going to deeply listen to each other? If there's conflict, can we sit down and give each other room in their own unique way to express what they're afraid of? Do you not want me? Do you not find me desirable anymore? Am I too needy? Am I gone too much? Do you need me gone more? Are we fussing over finances? Do you want to live on the West Coast and I want to live on the East Coast? We're going to have to be dealing with those things because guess what? What's the opposite sign of Aquarius? It's Leo. So Leo is I will. And Aquarius starts to shift into I know. So if you put the elements of Leo, fire, and Aquarius, air, and Jupiter's in Gemini, and Mercury's dancing around in Sagittarius, and then Pisces is getting along with the Scorpio and the Taurus, the cradle effect is we've got the Taurus getting along with the Pisces, and the Scorpio getting along with the Pisces, and the Sagittarius and the Gemini getting along. And so what they're saying is, do you really know what you want to change, what you want to do, and will you make, Capricorn, the commitment to move through it once you start the journey. So Capricorn's saying, I never promised you a rose garden, biatch. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take hard work. And so if you're going to use your impatience or your ADD or I'm autistic or I'm on the spectrum or what, you're going to have to make a commitment, and there will be hard work and there will be pluses and there will be minuses. But Saturn, whenever it's in a sign, it greatly affects that sign and its opposite. So Pisces, Virgo have been going through adjustments with their wellness factors, their health factors, what's making them tired and sick, and how do they disengage from that? The nodes are shifting into North Node Pisces, South Node, our karmic work, our Dharma this life, and they're going to shift for the next 18 months to 2 years into Pisces, Virgo. So here's the short form of the concluding story. Aries and Libra, a lot of relief is coming for you with what you had to, you've got the gun on you right now as far as what you have got to bury. It died, let it go, stop trying to resurrect it, because 3 strikes you're out in any major ball game. So what's happening is Aries and Libra have had to sustain breaking up with what felt so right 2 years ago. And it did its job. It provided lessons and challenges and teachings, and it pulled you out of you. Now, Virgos and Pisces, you're stepping up to the plate, and what's going to happen, and the Virgo Pisces part of our charts individually, learn what signs are on your houses more than the planets. That's the great turning of the wheel each year. Planets play a specific part of it, but learn your ascendant, learn what sign goes first. If Cancer goes first, then they go in order around the wheel. Simply put, there's extenuating factors, but basically learn where your Pisces Virgo house is. That's what's going to be activated for the next 18 months to 2 years. Start learning it now. The full moon in September was a full moon in Virgo Pisces. It was the start of those nodes, the North Node, the South Node, the Dragon's Head, the Dragon's Tail coming in as far as our new vision quest and our new ability to go to school with our soul and to be able to graduate with some more divine alignment. Right now, the Aries Libra houses of our charts, we're getting ready for a graduation come March of 2025. A graduation of all that we've gone through, what we've had to let go of as far as our ego, as far as what we were thinking that we wanted in a significant other, in a relationship, how we've had to set boundaries, where we've been selfish, where we've been lazy, where we've been a little too bully or self-entitled, the minus sides of Aries. For the last 18 months to 2 years, it's been Aries Libra. It's been our lessons. So with this full moon, this super moon in the sign of Taurus, it's like, okay, let's get down to business. What's working and what's not working? And don't blame them and don't blame you. Capricorn gets to the point to where it says, the question was, what's working? So the balance to that is what's no longer working. Don't spend a whole lot of time angry about it, resentful about it. I'm going to get revenge. How dare they rip me off? They lied to me on that legal contract. You take the power away of what's draining your energy by saying, this is what I'm going to commit to do. This is how far I'll commit to this debate, this fight, this outcome. And then I'm going on with my life, because none of the material world ultimately is going to be why your soul came here. Let me just remind you in a Taurus sense, everything that you encounter, that you make love with, that you buy, that you invest in, the furniture in your home, it's all temporary. It's a movable feast. It's here. Now you have it. Now you don't. Some pieces you may have for your entire life and pass them on. You're not taking them with you. So Aquarius is saying, what's it all about really? What do you really want to, what would really make your soul, your intellect, your heart, your purposefulness here? What do you want to do with your purposefulness here? You have wonderful skills. You have a unique type of intelligence, but Aquarius becomes the conductor of the orchestra. So there's the woodwinds, and there's the brass, and there's the flutes, and the drums, and the harps, and the strings, but then the conductor makes the symphony go forward. He knows when to emphasize the horns. He knows when to bring the volume up or down. And so I think, personally, intuitively, it's so much bigger than the presidential election. I feel like that fate, besides people saying, well, presidents are just puppets. There's there's all these backers and financial machinations that's going on around them, and it's global, and we're not even in that league. I believe the holy I am. I believe the higher light forces from the hearts and souls of the many are coming in to help Gaia, to help Earth, and to bring heaven to earth. And I believe that if you're sincere, I believe that whatever you ask in the name of all that's holy and sacred, and you are sincere and you allow it to come into your life, there's going to be, in the twinkling of an eye, instantaneous results. You don't have to go tell it to the rabbi or the preacher or your best friend or your lover or your child. Whatever it is that you're concerned about, Taurus, are earthly concerns. Let it go to spirit. Say, Almighty I am, all that is love and light, resurrected Christ, everything that has to do with, the heavens to you, how you anchor yourself spiritually, how the heavens can bless you and be a part of your life like it was when life was breathed into you, like it exits when someone takes their last breath. The most gripping thing that I feel intuitively about this American election, what hit me psychically, was at one of the post-election speeches when that particular individual, that Gemini Leo individual, said, until the last breath, I promise you, I will be fighting for the betterment of America until my last and final breath. And it hit me with the 2 or 3 that we know of assassination attempts, is that we got a lot of growing up to do spiritually. When we don't get our way, you just don't go out there and kill somebody. When we don't get our way, you don't go out there and beat up somebody. Why are we fighting against fate? If it's fate, whether you agree with it, or who cares whether you like him or her or not? Are you willing to say, thank you, Spirit, thank you for the change. I now call forth everything that is a win-win, everything that is harmonious for humanity, my fellow Earth citizens, be it animal, winged one, humanoid, or whatever. I send light to the global leaders. I send light to peace. I'm an antenna on Earth while I'm here. I'm both in a physical temple, and I also have frequencies that emanate from me. It's my responsibility, my spiritual job, to be the best version of myself that I can, and at the same time, not worry so much about whether people like me or not, or they'll love me or not, or want to lick me again. Be able to set the boundaries to where you say, no, that's not right. You're not going to do that to me. I don't do that to you. I don't like that you did that to that server. I don't like that you cheated that person. No, we've got to stand up for, not to change them. That's not your job, but to set a precedence of how you walk through this world. And that's what the mystics and the monks and the good nuns and the good rabbis and the people that really honor the commitment of the vision of the highest, best version of yourself. That's Aquarius. And whether we like it or not, we can be little infants throwing a teenage fit. I don't want to take a nap. I don't want to go. I don't want to eat. I want to leave the dinner table. It doesn't matter to spirit. It's like, I said, this is what's up in here. And I said, this is what's going to go on now. And I really feel that we're all involved in an alchemical uplink. We're all involved with now the Taurus is the emphasis right now. Just focus on where Taurus is in your chart. And Nicole and I have given you, yes, it's your financial world, it's your material pluses and minuses. It's how you feel in the home of your body. The Earth Temple is Taurus. Each one of the zodiac signs rules a part of your human body, but your earthly body is Mother Earth, Gaia. It's Mother Earth. It's your earth body. It's your earth vessel. And your spirit is only limited by if you think that your body can't receive any kind of holistic or divine or frequency assistance and healing. This is the time for you to for us, I'll own it too, we need to kind of get out of our own way and say, benevolent spirit of grace and glory, of prosperity, of wellness, of my creative intelligence, my emotional alchemy, my ability psychologically to get out of my own way, and I allow myself with my arms up to the heavens, to all that is holy, to all that is good, to all that can literally see change affected right now, even if the material world details don't show me any avenue of a way out. I then now call the divine into my life to shapeshift whatever it needs to be for me to have the highest, best outcome. And I commit that I will now go forth as the best, better version of myself. And I'm committed to that. That is my first significant other relationship. How I interact with the divine, how I move in the frequencies of love and light, and how I allow that to be my doctor, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And I just think too, with this full moon in Taurus, everyone know that it's time, like Mary said, it's time to get to work. It's time to do what needs to get done. It's going to probably come through some kind of surprise or unexpected event
Yep.
or something that you're not seeing, but it's also going to help you get on track. It's going to help you have a better foundation, a better sense of security in your world. And know that, it's if you don't like doing the hard stuff, well, like tough. This is the time
Yeah.
where you have to start doing
There's
the
work.
hard stuff,
Yep.
like it pays
Yep.
off. And as like Mary was saying, and I even at the beginning, like what we're kind of heading into now is this is why we never truly understand exactly why things happen the way they happen. When
Amen.
2020 went down, well, all of us are like, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? And why didn't he get in considering, blah, 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 blah. You can actually now see in hindsight how perfect it was. Even though it's not what we
Absolutely.
wanted, it was setting us up for the big reveal. And when I say the big reveal, is like we had to go through something 2020 of such high levels of corruption and abuse of power over one's own physical body. Okay. Um, in order for now, we've got a team going into an administration. We've got like RFK is going to go in there and is going to beat down the doors of all the pharmaceutical companies that have abused their power, that have only
Yep.
looked to gain financially at the expense of humanity's well being. And I'm just so excited to finally see that what we went through was not for not all in vain, right? Like I can now actually look back and see the divine orchestration because now he has a much better team coming into office with him.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. And I'll give you let me give you one quick side note to your point, then continue, please. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Capricorn. Elon Musk, if the birth dates are right, and I'm only going by that, if the birth dates are Elon Musk, a Cancer. America is a Cancer. Pluto is leaving Capricorn. And here comes RFK Jr. to come in and say, yeah, I'm going to go into the food industry, Taurus. I'm going to go into the pharmaceutical industry, our earth body. I'm going to go into what's going on with animal husbandry. And I'm going to go into why are foreign countries buying our farmland? Why are the plant processing burning down? What's going on with the meat packing places? I'm in, and I'm going to form a cabinet. And Elon's going to move into this whole above our heads kind of a thing with the Space Force and Starlinks and all that kind of stuff. Even the names are beautiful. So we've got like a Capricorn Cancer, they're polarity. These men are polarity to each other. And then we have Mars in Leo, and because of retrograde, it's going to bounce around in the sign of the heart, the lion's heart, brave heart. And then we have Leo rising on the current elected president. So he's going to push it to the max, but I feel now, like Nicole said, he's got a better team. He's got a team that he can rely on more. And I believe that what we're going to see is that the people, we're going to see rapid fire
yeah, it
results
wouldn't
to
have
where we
been as
can.
good of a run if he had won the last time as it is going to be now. It's just
Mm-hmm,
we're in
mm-hmm.
a much better position now to actually expose, especially with Pluto going into Aquarius like 4 days after this full moon. Like that is going to start to change everything. Like it's truly a much better time in a sense of there is this idea of divine timing, and I can't I really do see how we're actually better off in this way because we had to see how bad it actually gets, when there's such an abuse of power. And then also have the right people coming in that so many people want to get behind. I know not everyone is, but a lot of people do. And this is something that I think we're going to see where Okay, things are starting to make sense now. I am now understanding. So now let's just for a second take that whole script, flip it onto your own personal life. With this full moon in Taurus, look, something's going to take you by surprise. You're going to see some kind of information. You're like, wow, I wasn't seeing it that way. Or wow, I didn't expect that. But it's going to help align you if you got to be doing the work, but you're going to get yourself into a much better position to actually start achieving the goals that you want, attaining a better like really aligning with where it is that you want to go, where you want to make your mark in this world in some degree. But like remember, Taurus is very much about the building, like building that foundation, building, and doing it steady, so slowly and the right way the first time. So I really feel like, yeah, there might be some shocking elements here. And of course, we have Saturn going direct, but also in a T square with Mercury and Jupiter. But look,
Hmm.
like this is time for you to get serious. If you get serious, if you get responsible, if you get committed, I really feel like you're going to do okay in this full moon.
Yeah, the distraction factor of Gemini Sag and the fantasy factor of the weaker parts of Pisces, that T square is like the Pisces part is no, I don't want to. I don't want to have to turn and look at that. And then the Gemini factor is like, but I have an idea and we could try this next and we could do that. And Sag just like, for God's sakes, you're just like the hamster, the little pretty hamster running on the hamster wheel. You're moving. Yeah, you're in motion, but you're really not changing anything and you're not going anywhere. So that T square can actually clear our thought process. And what I would say to that encapsulated is when you, and I had a great therapist say this to me, when you're sick and tired, when you're really sick and tired of being tired and sick of how things are, you will go invest your time and some money in a therapist, in an intuitive counselor, in a life coach, in doing exercise, working out. You start working out at a gym. You start saying, I'm going to change my diet. You start doing physical in tandem with mental disciplines and a will to accomplish. Mars and Leo right now can help us with our will to overcome anything or anyone. I would like the audience, before we go into the signs, I would like the audience to be aware of something that I think, once again, will have a lot of YouTube and Instagram psychics and astrologers going, rah, 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 if they want to continue the doom and gloom. I'm not continuing the doom and gloom. Enough. But Mars, close to this election, right before this election, Mars in Cancer for the last time for 250 years. Mars at that fancy ass degree I told you about, 29 degrees. Mars got to 29 degrees of Cancer and it opposed Pluto in 29 degrees of Capricorn. That started to expose the nefarious and the truths that needed to come out. And we heard that all through October. What's going on in Hollywood? What's going on with these parties, these white parties, and all that kind of stuff. And is this guy good? And is what's going on really in Ukraine and biolabs and all that. So then we had the election, but Mars made an opposition to Pluto, which is one of the most volatile things that can happen in our great turning of the wheel and how that hits our chart. So I knew something was going to shatter. It's like the old Rolling Stone song, shattered. So I knew that there was going to be something that would be as shocking in our lives collectively in the world as those hurricanes were that happened in September and then going into October. Now, what I'd like the audience to participate with is I want us as antenna of light, looking at the humanitarian outcome for all, regardless of what belief or side you're on. Mars is going to oppose in Leo, it's going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius around that first week of January 2025. I'm hearing the rumblings of several intuitives and psychics and astrologers saying, I don't see him getting inaugurated. Now, we've all had enough fear porn. Okay, done, divorced, buried. But when there is an opposition of Mars and Leo, and someone has Mars and Leo, someone is a Leo, someone has the rising sign of Leo, and it's going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius, yes, in their life, there'll be new birth, there'll be a new animal, there'll be a new baby, someone may pass away that was elderly or just succumbed to something. There's a great life-death startup. But I would like the audience to pray for the highest good for our country and its leaders, leaders, military, political, all of it. So we all collectively win if we get on the same page as we the people and say, let the best occur, so that we cannot try to change what fate is talking to us, or assassinate, or be intolerant to it, or fight it every bit of the way like a little toddler throwing a temper tantrum. Let's get on the same page and not be divided, and say, I allow the higher good for all concerned. I allow peace in this world, and I allow only the benevolent aliens, or only the benevolent star codes, and I rebuke the archons, and I welcome the angelic messengers. Let's lean into that for a time period. Commit with me for a year. That let's try a year. We're not being in denial. Let's try a year if we're going to enable anything, that we dedicate and apply discipline to continually inviting the light codes and loving harmony into our life. It's okay to want that in your life, and your love life, and your financial life. Just don't feel guilty about that. But also that what we study and what we do and what we teach and how we learn, we will be willing to empower the generations around us.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. It's just, I don't think, I don't feel like anything's going to prevent the inauguration.
Good.
What I do think is that we might see a step down of Biden and Kamala go in very short term.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I don't feel like I just don't feel it.
I feel there's some kind of,
There's
agree with
something
it or
coming
not.
up, but I don't feel it's going to stop him from getting into
No,
office.
there is a divine hand, like somehow, like when people read the Bible, the Virgin Mary was chosen. You are blessed among women. When you go, Hail Mary, full of grace, you are blessed among women, because that, in that belief, she was chosen to bear the Immaculate Conception and the Jesus, Jesus the Christ. So there's that, and then you look at there's certain. And I'm not putting any one mortal person like that. Then there's other people that just get famous being really evil, like serial killers or true dictators and things like that. I mean, but they're putting their energy into being that way. We have to take responsibility for how we're aiming our energy. So when you talk about gun rights, it's the problem with the gun. If you got an empty gun, it can only be used as whacking somebody with it as a metal weapon. But when it's loaded, when we're loaded, what kind of ammunition are we loading ourselves with, and what are we firing? What are we aiming at? What's our target? Are we just target practicing? Are we literally trying to just bully our way with additional weaponry of freaky forces of energy, because we're all bummed out for the day? So we're going to go out there and project that onto somebody else. And look at how people are driving lately. The whole North Node and Aries thing. I mean, I can't tell you how much more I'm hearing all ages say that 18-wheelers are going across people are coming across the double yellow line in motorcycles and tourist cars and RVs, and the 18-wheelers are like, and they got to go in the ditch. Sometimes it's the 18-wheelers that are causing the problem. We need to really, Aries is me, myself, and I, the I am. So as we have these nodes being flared up right now, and yet compatible with Mars and Fire Leo, we need to look at our I am. What are you putting after the words I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm as I am. I am. So what are you willing to embrace with the I am? I am light. I am fair. I am harmony. So we have to live that. We have to do actions. And again, Capricorn's about, yeah, tell it to the wall, because your words aren't being backed up by your actions. Let's see what you got. Go out there in the field, do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work.
It's interesting times. So much going on, there's no way to really truly encapsulate it all, but let's get into the all signs. Let's get into the all signs. Okay. And yeah, you can start with Aries.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for your time and your energy and all this. So with Aries, the first thing I want to say with this second house, full moon for Aries, Aries is the first sign, Taurus is the second sign. So for Aries, when we take Aries respectfully as the first sign in the Western zodiac, this Taurus supermoon is hitting in your second house. So, what did Nicole and Mary say was the other sign that's lit up right now? If the moon is illuminating in the sign of Taurus, and that's my second house of my money Am I comfortable with my money? Are people being fair with me financially? Am I being fair with people financially? And is my money overwhelming me in my investments or liquidations? Is it time to liquidate versus consolidate or invest? So right now, Aries is being affected by two signs. The sun is in Scorpio, and the moon is hitting your second house in the sign of Taurus. So Aries, there's a mystical element to this. The sun is in Scorpio. Yeah, it's going to shift by the third week of November, but right now, and since the third week of October, Aries, it's been lighting up what it is that you could allow Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, Almighty I Am to bring you new team players, to bring you a different level in your significant other dynamic alliances, be it parents, children, family, workplace. With Aries right now, they're beginning to see the fruits of their labors, that where they may have made money too much of an identifying factor of, well, I'm good in the world because I'm a woman with money, or I'm a man with money, or women will want me more now because I'm stable financially. I believe for Aries right now, it's like, wow, I'm really beginning to feel that it's good for me to be doing the things that matter most to me and that I want to do. I've got to stop changing my core self, in a sense, putting on a mask. I need to stop being how the other person wants me to be and not revealing my real self. There's been a lot of lessons for Aries over the last 18 months to 2 years of that battling between, why don't I measure up? Am I not good enough? What's missing here? I was really good to that person. Why did they rip me off? Why did they break up with me inappropriately like that? I was really there for them. Yeah, we fought, but we were good. We had each other's backs. That's a shock wave when something like that, goes sideways and you get kicked to the curb, even though you were agree to disagree, but still ethical and still held to your part of the commitment. And all of a sudden you get ghosted and kicked. So Aries moons and Aries rising signs and Aries sun signs over the last 18 months to 2 years has really had to go through that archetypal energy of Aries of, am I the soldier or am I the general? And when I elevate to general of this or that, am I fair? Or has it been so long coming to me that it's my way or the highway, or I'm right, you're wrong all the time? I'm the general, damn it. I'm the commander. Step into place. So it's kind of like we went through all the levels of mixed martial arts, or we went through Tai Chi, or we went through working it from the inside out with like Reiki training, Usui Reiki training, or looking at different forms of reality. So Aries has really had to have a breakup with how they define themselves, depending on how their finances, their material worth, their earthly investments are. Aries has had to move more into their spiritual, their mystical, their psychological wellness, and they've had some really hard times over the last 18 months to 2 years getting kind of gobsmacked by other people's aberrant psychological patterns or psychological challenges, to where it's just like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Because remember, Uranus has been in Taurus for a while. So for Aries, I feel like that this supermoon, the North Node, the Capricornian element, and thank God, especially for you March-born Aries, that Pluto's going to go into Aquarius. So I feel like there is a leveling up that's going on. But I think for Aquarius, the main thing I want to say is that there's a term we use in psychology when you take your psychology studies, your psychological studies in scholastic venues. There's a term in psychology when you're dealing with whatever's in the Diagnostic 101 manual, the big DM of psychological disorders, that says you're liberated, you're freer, you're less triggered when you make the foundation, Capricorn, a foundation in yourself that says, I want this, I hope this, but I will not be, and I am not attached to the outcome. So either way, you're still your truth, you're still going to forge ahead. This is an avenue you're going to take, Aries, but you're not going to be attached to the outcome. There is not just one way or one thing of how something's going to go. There's always a lot of moving parts, both seen and unseen. So Aries, you're coming to a new level of what you value, why you value it, what you will prioritize as your current top 3 life values list. And the Scorpio season of the third week of October into the 20th, 21st of November is here in your turning of the great wheel annually to give you the celestial gifts of, to thine own self be true. Think about your ancestors. Eighth house is what dies in our life, what goes through a metamorphosis, an epiphany, a rising up from the ashes of once was a very hot fire of something that did not work out like we expected, and choosing to be the phoenix, choosing to fly above it, choosing to be resurrected and reborn anew again. So it's a fresh start. It's a new you, and you need to give away that luggage that's been packed with the same life story you keep telling yourself and other people. So Aries, this really is a moment when the nodes change into Pisces, and this launches this in the Scorpio season of the water element, to where you're really going to be able to allow yourself to be both baptized, receive communion of the light, and then be able to be resurrected from your former self that got in its own way. So it's by behaviors, by patterns, by addictions to culture, or I only believe this and I don't accept that, and I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. And if you hurt me, I'm going to pay you back twice. So Aries have had to go through kind of letting their own fire become a campfire, a peaceful campfire, rather than Burning Man or a bonfire or a fire that gets out of control like a wildfire. So Aries has come to learn a lot about the power of their desire fire and their ambition flames and how they can inspire themselves first. Aries is me, myself, and I. So Aries, as you believe in you, as you trust you, as you become an ethical, more transparent person and say, well, that may work for you, but I found this works for me, and stand by your beliefs and move in action to your words, I believe the profound benefits that start to evidence themselves as you come into late January and February of 2025 are going to be like, oh, snap, this rocks. It's really strong for Aries. And I love, even though Mars is going to bounce around between Cancer and Leo, right now with Mars and Leo, until it goes into its retrograde point in early December, I think Mars will spend 6-7 weeks bouncing back between the water sign of Cancer being kind of passive aggressive and on the defense into Leo going, I'm going to change this. That doesn't feel good to be that way and feel like secretly, but it's everybody else's fault if they'd have just done this or that. So Aries, you really have an advantage the whole time that Mars is moving around in Leo to finally divorce the way that you say, well, women always do that to me, or men always do that to me, or that happens all the time. You got to break up with that belief. It's really a breaking up and a burial. The Scorpio part of you is saying, how many years you've been saying that? How many years do you act the same way sexually? How many years do you act the same way financially? And then stop, reinvent yourself, but to thine own self be true. And if you're Taurus, I believe the Tauruses that I've been working with, Mars is bouncing around in Leo in your fourth house, and so there's these life epiphanies that are going on to do with the core of your being, how you want to be in the world, what you're letting go of. I have like 5 Tauruses that come to mind that had either psychological barn raisings lately, or they actually went through some actual corrective surgeries. That was a long time bane in their existence, or a pain, in some way or another. And the breakups that the Tauruses have gone through, and the makeups that the Tauruses have gone through, and the way they've been able to position that and get both the blessing of the lesson and the majesty of the teaching, and how then Taurus can implement that in their life and say, wow, I really was boots on the ground experience with that. And now this full moon says to you, and how has this year altered and changed you as you begin to open up your arms to 2025? Because this it's not just a full moon in Taurus. The moon is happy in the sign of Taurus. It's exalted. It's a regal royal position for the moon to be in every month when it goes through Taurus. And then if it's a full moon, that's known as one of the more benevolent full moons for most people, because the moon is happy as, and the Venus ruled sign of Taurus. But it's a super moon And so it's got a domestic element to it because it's supermoon number 4 in a procession of them. So the natural 4th sign is Cancer. Mars is bouncing around from Cancer to Leo. And so this full moon is saying to you, to thine own self be true. Are you happy in your heart of hearts, in your home? What is it that do you want to change the colors in your home? It could be something tangible and physical about, you know what? It's not that I hate where I live. I'm ready to move on. So it could be that Tauruses in the next 6 months are beginning to invest in a partnership, invest in an alliance, and they will literally relocate. Some will size up, some will liquidate money while the real estate market starts to be favored again under a different kind of conservative financial, problems got to be solved, debt's got to be reconciled, wiped off, whatever. But I feel like the blessing of our Taurus supermoon is saying to us, you watch what happens within 6 months with financial cost. Watch what starts to happen with maybe some mixed currencies revaluing. Watch what starts to happen with what's real and what's not safe, and the secrets being exposed about cryptocurrencies and things like that, and valuable minerals and gold, silver, all of that. Watch what starts to happen with all that. And so Taurus, this supermoon is saying to you the next 6 months is going to be something that gives you reliability, stability, things that you're going to be able to say, whether it's a little bit of a challenge, a mystery, a plus or a loss, and a reward or something I have to let go of. I want to have a time frame here where what I can count on, who I can count on is evidenced in my life. I want the flow. I want that experience of all is positioned in my world, in my 3D world of like, I'm going to earmark that for the animal food. I'm going to earmark that. It's not that you're trying to control it or direct it, but you just don't want it pestering your mental creativity, your sensuality, your ability to enjoy it when you are spending and or making money to be able to save it and spend some and save some. So for Taurus, I believe things are evening out. And I believe that as we go forward, once Mars gets back into an earth sign, when it leaves Leo in about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and goes into Virgo, that's going to be really tangible by the books, results balancing out, the margins being more evened out between too high, too low in your individual lives, Taurus, as we get into your normal time of being happy in the springtime when you're coming up to the April born Tauruses. I believe you're going to go, wow, what a ride. And to Nicole's point earlier, let's take this big world event time, the November of 2024, we got an easy reference point, the United States election and how that rocked the world. And let's see where our perspective is when we get 6 months from November into May and look back on individually how we also gained our power, how we also were able to think more in a humanitarian way. And I like the health indications that I see with Taurus. I like that the Scorpio flavor of this time of the year for you Taurians is helping you really be honest with yourself about, I really like that about my lover, not so good with that over there. And it could be something as simple as, I don't like the smell of their shampoo that they use, and I don't want to insult them. I was like, would it be an option? Could it be up for a discussion that we could go together and pick a different kind of body wash? Or, I mean, it could be that tangible, that earth body or shampoo or that hairspray. For some reason, it sets off my sinuses. Can we go function with that? Or can we have a discussion about that? It seems really minor, but it could interfere and eclipse the way I get close to you. Something like that. And so there's a new sensuality around Taurus and the Scorpio factor, but it has a lot to do with saying, I'm really not trying to change you. I'm willing to change something too. Tell me what I could change about my products or my scents that I wear or anything like that. Let's come to some kind of compromise. It could literally be as 3D world as that, of like, I like flannel sheets, you like Egyptian cotton. I mean, there's some things that I don't like the silk sheets. There's going to be some things that come out that, as simple as that sounds, that it really is going to get a different level of confidence in the vulnerability of cleaving together with another person in our most private, significant way. So I believe for Taurus, even though it's a first house full moon. Full moons provide endings that are needed. You know, there's an exit to a building and there's an entrance to it. But we go in and we eat dinner and then we come back out, sometimes a different door. There's an exit and an entrance in big box stores. So this is about what's exiting in your life, Taurus, is only because there's some grand entrance points. There's doors of more of a stable wonder that are coming into your world. And as time flies, the next 4 to 6 months are really, really profound. So again, Taurus, make a note. I'm going to look back to what I said I wanted and how I wanted this out of my life and that into my life. Yeah, back in November, late October and November. For Gemini, it's a 12th house supermoon. You've been dealing with Uranus in Taurus in your 12th house. So this moon triggers the unexpected factors in all of our charts. But for you, Gemini, it's maybe what you've been holding on to that you need to be right, that you walk away from the partner discussion, or you shut down, or you kind of go into a suspended animation type of a thing, or I'm going to go to town, or I'm leaving, I'm not talking about this, I'm done with this, or why does it have to be your way? I think that whole dialogue that's been going on over the last 5 years, specifically 3 to 3.5 years, for Geminis and their balance sign, Sagittarius, is that Gemini has to stop putting in their head, I know I have a good partnership, and I know that things will flow along as long as they see that I'm right. My way is the best way to do it. I've got Gemini men and I've got Gemini females that the 12th house for the Gemini thing is they're stuck in the old story. Gemini is supposed to be innovative. It's supposed to be curious. It's supposed to be willing to do a trial and error. But when you've got a Taurus impact, you know, when you've got a Taurus full moon and it's hitting your 12th house, the 12th house in your astrological chart is when you were still in vitro, when you were still in the womb, when you were still in the process of growing, of developing your hands, your fingers, your brain, your organs in the mother's womb. So it's an embryonic, I'm still in the egg, I'm still doing a metamorphic chemical upgrade in the cocoon. I've got to peck my way out of the egg. I've got to fly out of the cocoon, and all the things that I need to do. I've got to be able to respect what housed and harbored me and how I formed my beliefs and my truths. But Gemini, you make a mistake when you look down your nose as an intellectual snob of whatever specialty that you are, and look down your nose like, oh, they're just not there yet. They can't comprehend that yet. Or give your partner or your family the silent treatment and ghost them and not talk to them and just kind of like, oh, well, it is what it is, and not be willing to take it deeper because they dare to go cross purposes or to question, maybe we could upgrade those beliefs. Maybe we don't have to just be stuck in one generation or paradigm. So I think that the very things that Gemini doesn't want to discuss or talk about, I believe that the healing of this Venus and the beauty of Mother Earth life and the Taurus core of our being, there could be some of the most exuberant, compatible, really interesting convos and mutual respect and a coming together instead of just like, my way is right. I would suggest to you, Gemini, that it's not about getting it right, being right, as it is to be able to turn a topsy-turvy situation the right way up. So it's better to get it right than to fight to be right. There's supposed to be compromises. There's supposed to be boundaries, but Gemini needs to stick to the big point instead of, and Virgo can do this sometimes too, that nitpicking. Why do you have to do that? Why, we're watching a movie together. Why do you need to do that? Why are you on your phone? Why aren't you doing this? We're supposed to go out and eat and everybody's on their phone. It's like that. Just set a boundary. Hi, if I'm paying for dinner, the phones stay in the car. Yeah, because it's at night or the phones are off and they're all sitting on a little pile on the table. Mine too. And we're all going to have dinner. Otherwise, don't go or I won't spend the money. But that's going to be the boundary that I set. If we're going out as a family, if we're going out as a couple, put the phones down or ask, is anybody okay if I check something on my phone? So just be fair about the whole thing. So Gemini needs to get creative again with how it arrives at its beliefs, all the thought processes that orbit around you and spin around you to be the potential or the possibility. And I also feel with Gemini that their ability to sink first into some alchemical, peace-bearing, spiritual truth, like go read something that's inspiring to you. It might be the Art of War by Nansu. It might be something about reincarnation. It might be something about a certain psalm or biblical something. To go watch some things that stimulate you to where your mind can go in different avenues instead of being on lockdown. A lot of Geminis get on like a pandemic lockdown when it comes to, this is logical to me, this is the way it's always been for me, and I'm not going to change, because Taurus is in the 12th house. So for you, Gemini, it's 12th house. Where might you cut an umbilical cord and breathe in a fresh existence? If you're Cancer, I like it. For Cancer, I think it's a time of better prosperity, manifestation, prioritizing your intentions. I like that you can be pulling together a dream team. We used the example of Elon Musk. He already had some fame with Tesla. He already, had rockets fly and fall and do all this. He had lawsuits that came up with his electric stuff and all of that. He was once very favored by the liberal left side, and now Starlink and all that kind of stuff, wanting to work on the first real strong satellite phone. And now he's coming into some kind of a leadership type of role in a different way. Twitter changed to X. I mean, he's gone through a lot of metamorphic things himself, and there's nobody like a Taurus or a Cancer that wants to establish some type of base security. And it's hard for them to let go. So Gemini can, if it's innovative, Gemini will go into it business-wise, but they'll lock down on emotional beliefs and psychological things. With Cancer right now, I believe it is exactly what we're seeing play out in this country. Elon is now in a league with RFK Jr. and this administration. And it's wow, and I still do X and the rocket thing, and I got to solve the Tesla problems, and I'm not just going to be into electric cars only. I'm going to be more innovative because I have children. So that's the Cancer factor. My children, my offspring, the next generation. That's where you're going to see Elon be more locked in, because he has a lot of children. And so he cares about that. So if you're Cancerian right now, you're living your legacy. How are you living your legacy? How is your ancestry becoming a pivotal point in you being able to overcome challenges or obstacles? And for those Cancerians that are like, yeah, finally some things that start to make sense to me, then the Cancerians are going to be part of the ones that flood the renting and the house market to be able to establish where they really want to be happy and to live. And the Cancerian factor right now, you'll see more Cancers as a hobby, picking up herbs and gardening, not from a fear, you better prep, agenda this or that, but Cancerians saying, I'm going to take a culinary class. I'm going to learn about herbs. I'm going to get into a different avenue of friends and colleagues besides what I do for work or how I am at home. So Cancers will be able to be more secure and boldly go out and check out some new avenues of study, of pleasure, of life experience. So the Cancers are going to be coming out of their shell with both the full moon in their 11th house, lighting that up, and the sun lighting up their 5th house. So the Scorpio is lighting up your 5th house of children and creative potential and ideas. So make some bullet points on some projects or some lectures or the book you want to write or the podcast you want to do or the video or whatever it is, a children's book, for example. That's a real good thing of the 11th and the 5th house. So how do you want to make a statement to the second how the others that are coming up behind you, what example are you setting? If you're a Leo, this is a game-changing cycle. The sun in Scorpio is hitting you. If Leo is the first sign, then we go Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. So Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio is the 4th house, or the foundation of the cross, if you will. And this full moon, supermoon, in Taurus is at the top of your chart, where you leave the cross and you fly free, liberated, even though the cross is wood and it's there and it's anchored. And so it's like how the leaves change at the top of trees. Taurus is trees. So it's a lot to do with how the chlorophyll starts to leave in the tree in the autumn, and the fiery colors that you see in the leaves is because the green of the chlorophyll is going back in to sustain that tree's internal life force. And so with Leo, Taurus right now, the Taurus element of Uranus and this supermoon, the trees, the antenna between Earth and the heavens, the frequencies, the sensitivity of Leo is at an all-time high. Leo's right now, with this being a full moon in your 10th house, they're strategizing. Who's for me? Who's against me? Where am I running counterproductive to myself? Where am I getting in my own way? Leo is in a big facing forward reality bite type of a cycle. And Leos are going to be laying down, I will do this, not going to do that. Not interested in that, not going to do it, because Leo is about the will. Leo is the most favored Earth sign because the sun, the great star of the Milky Way galaxy, rules the sign of Leo. So with Leo at the zenith part right now, this full moon lighting up the very top, you can see the light up on the mountains. So this is about a raising up and taking charge and being able to be the team leader, be able to be the one that can take the responsibility of facilitating change or standing true to your agreements or your commitments. And the Leo factor right now is this: if you're ever going to do it, if you're ever going to take the leap of faith, if you're ever going to take that risk, if you really want to lean in to this crossroads point in your life right now, once this thing happens, once you go through this change, once you let go, once it comes upon you, your life, as you've known it, will never be the same. The 10th house favors the cracking of the shell, the flying as a butterfly from a former caterpillar. So for Leos right now, what Cancer just went through, Leos, and especially with Mars in Leo is accelerating the ceremonial fire, the visions by the fire, the hauntingly beautiful candle flame, the smoke from the incense. This is a time where there's sacred smoke, holy smoke, the raising up of your energies and really kissing your destiny. I mean, there's an Arabic word called kismet, 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 and it's an Arabic-based word that means the fates allow. So the fates, it's a kazemi, it's kissing the heart of the sun. So right now, Taurus is saying, I'm the bull, you're a lion. We know how to get through this jungle. So the jungle experience might be overcoming a health crisis, finding out what's draining your energy, being willing to admit to yourself, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. I don't want to be in this job anymore. I don't know if I want to be on Earth anymore. And I'm not talking suicide. I'm not talking at all. I will strongly clarify that about taking your own life. But what's losing the life force? Is the job not having the same life force? Does the partnership need some new fire? Do you need to be more innovative and pulse into something and give it your heart fire, the light of your beingness? It's about what you believe in and how you can inspire others. It's a 10th house supermoon. So you're on point for the next 87 to 90 days to look at who's inspired by you, not just who inspires you, Leo, but how you inspire and speak encouraging words and do actual actions without thought of return or reciprocity, because it was just an encouraging, uplifting thing to do for someone that you care about and that you care about their destiny. So if you're Virgo, it's 9th house. Virgos, a lot of Virgos I talk to, I always know a lot of Virgos, I attract Virgos. Virgos that I've talked to have been kind of off center. They felt exhausted versus dizzy, feeling like, is my blood pressure off? Is my blood pressure raised? Why do I feel like that I'm just kind of like not walking straight up type of a thing? So with Virgos right now, this supermoon in Taurus favors the sign of Virgo because Taurus is Earth, Virgo is Earth, Capricorn is Earth. We got the Capricorn dance going on of Venus and Pluto. We got the Pisces element. That's your polarity, your balance right now. Saturn's going, you got this. You've been working on this really in a different way for the last year. And Neptune is going, hey, I'm bringing you the right people into your life. And you know what? You can move in and out of these moods and the tendency that you have for more drama, please, then bitch about that very drama. I'm getting you away from that. And I'm telling you, you can really change and shift your perception. And just because things are harmonious and quiet and serene doesn't equal boring. Because we can become addicted to drama. We can become addicted very quickly to high anxiety and high intensity. And I feel like that Virgos move in and out of that a lot, not so much within themselves. They tend to repress themselves. Virgos, you tend to hold it in and hold it back and keep it cerebral, but you tend to get a lot of drama with the people out there that you're just wanting to help or to make a soft spot to land, give them a sweet moment. Virgo engages in people that have a lot of drama around them or have dramatic situations that Virgo, a sign of service, wants to see what they can do to educate or to help or to assist or to be a congruent factor in getting a problem into a solution. And this ninth house moon is going to give you very interesting dreams, meditations, like formulas, like, whoa, why didn't I ever think of it that way before? So right now for you, Virgo, it has a lot to do with new avenues, new conceptions of inspiration and aspiration that help you not stay too much in your head. And I would venture to say, for a lot of you Virgos of various points in life and age ranges, I feel like that there's someone that ultimately is very inspiring coming into your life, that you're going to be inspired with easier functioning parts of you because of that. And so that the dynamic between Virgo and Pisces right now, where Pisces have a new story to tell, Virgo is still involved in the vision quest. It's still involved in the empowerment of the soul. If you're a Libra, this is 8th house. And what's going on with Libra is similar to what we talked about with Aries. Why? Because you complement each other. It's the 8th house for Libra, and some kind of near-death experience, some type of taking yourself to the edge of the cliff, something leaving your life, someone that you thought was going to be a stronger presence in your life, all of a sudden that gets eclipsed, or they're taking care of an aged parent, or they can't get the divorce because of the kids, or even though you spent really quality time together, they just can't move forward with you in this new book of your life the way that you once had with your sensuality, your finances mixed, or the investment that you both plowed into. There's been a breaking away for Libra in being too reliant with this 8th house supermoon, too reliant on your sexual life, your sensual thrills, your, at least no matter how hard I work at my job, I come home and I'm in the arms of, and I sleep with, and that brings me my personal, sensual, physical body comforts in my earth life, who I eat with, who I sleep with, who has my back, who I can rely on, and just know that that's time for me. That's my lovemaking. That's my person that I adore, and I love adoring them. Libra puts a whole lot of focus on who they're relating with and their private life. This full moon, as Nicole mentioned, being ruled by Venus. Venus has governship over the signs of first Taurus and then Libra. So that's why Venus has a presence in this supermoon. And so it's very strong for Taurus and Libra. And for Libra, I feel like that there's going to be different kinds of things that sensually intrigue you, and that if the fire has gone out, the Aries fire has gone out, Libra, I feel what's happening is that you're going to work on accepting and loving yourself as you are, and you're going to realize your new tribe. You're going to realize the new people that are flirting with you or attracted to you as options for each other, that you're not just going to keep settling for less. I really want Libra to hear that. Just because you've been invested in a relationship, if it's not invested in you, and I'm not talking about tit for tat, I did this, now you owe me. I'm talking about just as you look at the panoramic view of that intimacy, if really even though you don't really want to be the one to quit. Libra doesn't like to quit or break up. Libra's like, I get the tie that binds, till death do us part. Libra does that part better than anybody, Libra and Capricorn. But the Libra part of you, if they're betraying you, if they're lying to you about money or loyalty, if they're breaking whatever commitment that you gave to each other, then at least sit down with them and say, can you first explain to me how you decided it was okay to not keep your commitment with me? Why didn't you come to me and say, we need an open financial thing? I want my money, you have your money. Why didn't you come to me and say, I'd like to invite other partners into our sexual experience? You just took it upon yourself to go do it without any discussion. That's what wounded me. That's what shocked me. I may say no, I may say yes, but you took away my opportunity to convey how I felt about the situation, because you didn't potentially want to hear the outcome other than how you saw it. So Libras need to have those kind of meaningful conversations and get to the core of why your teenager or your grandchild all of a sudden is acting 180 degrees a different way than they did. When people actually start acting out of character, then there's something underneath that's gone on. And Libra is going to be like, the eighth house is where we become the Sherlock Holmes, the investigative detective. You know, we're going to solve the crime. We're going to take the time to find out what's at the core. Why did that happen? It's the investigative, psychological detective type of a thing. And I see that all around Libra with this eighth house of Taurus. We still have Uranus in Taurus for a little while, so it's amplified right now, Libra. And I feel like also you could win some court cases, or some money that's been owed you for a long time, and your inheritance could really be coming about in surprising good ways. So when we go through these signs, like Scorpio right now, Scorpio's balanced to this. The sun's in Scorpio. So for Scorpio, it's a seventh house full moon, supermoon. So for Scorpio right now, they're getting very centered on, are my needs being met? The Scorpios that I've talked to are having a little bit of an angst mentally about, God, I really should initiate romance and keep the lover part of it. I mean, I'm hearing male and female Scorpios going, what is it with me? I just feel like I want to be comfortable with someone, but I don't want to have to be pay to play or on demand. So a lot of Scorpios right now are kind of in a neutral, odd place with themselves, even though they've been in their birthday cycle. This full moon is kind of putting the mirror back to the Scorpio going, what moves have you made first lately? Have you brought flowers? Have you cooked the meal? Have you done the back rub? Did you bring the Epsom salts home and said, I'll do the dishes, go take a nice relaxing bath? Scorpios right now with this full moon need to check themselves and say, how much of a participant have I been in my valued private life? And if you're a single Scorpio, it might have to do with, have I really been ignoring my dogs, my birds, my cats, my outside creatures? I mean, they rely on me. They love me. I'm their intimate. My pets, my creatures that I cleave with, I'm their intimate partner. I'm, in a sense, their demigod in a sense. I feed them. I house them. Have I been slack on that? Do their beds stink? Could I get them some better food? Could I cook a little bit for them? So with Scorpios right now, the energy, even though it's your birthday cycle, Happy New Year, Scorpios, with the sun, Happy Solar New Year. But the moon right now is saying to you, with Uranus and with the Pisces factor, it's saying, I think it's kind of your job, Scorpio, to soften some things up. For Sagittarius, it's sixth house, it's health, it's wellness, it's responsibilities, it's how you can assist who you live with, your partner, your parents, your children. How can you be a coach, a cheerleader, someone that helps them get to the next level, someone that lets them learn the lesson their own way, but is kind of a guiding force around them. I would not ignore health issues that are coming up, Sagittarius. And I've found that, I want to say this to all signs, but especially right now for Sagittarius, whenever we've gone through a difficult 6 months to a year period of having kind of a long-standing problem, or a burning under the surface intimacy crisis, or, you know, we're at an impasse, we're there together, but we're really not communicating with it. We're not on the same level. We're coping with each other. We've not quite made a final decision of whether we're going to break up or make it. Whenever we've gone through a health crisis, whenever we've gone through some type of long-term challenge emotionally, once that gets resolved, I've seen a lot of people, and right now this full moon hits Sagittarius that way, I've seen a lot of people have to deal with some physical health corrections, little boo-boos and oohoos that come up that need to be tended to and healed and paid attention to 3 months to 6 months after they've gone through that long-standing, year-long, 2 years, 9-month cycle of being at odds with someone that means a lot to you. And for Sagittarius, the sun in Scorpio is in your 12th house. So this has got to do with soul surgery. This has got to do with psychological corrections. It's got to do with letting the wound open to heal, let air get to it, so to speak, let a different kind of communication take place. But the ultimate outcome of this Taurus moon, and you may be finding yourself around a lot of Taurus people, say a lot of strong Taurus components in their chart, is that your philosophical ways might have been hard for them to grasp 2 years ago, 3 years ago. but they had to learn it the hard way, but they're coming back around to you apologizing or saying, you know what, I didn't see it then. Thanks for standing by me, even though we had to go on an impasse and have a silent treatment and be out of each other's lives for a while, or be living under the same roof and really not being there for each other. There's a lot of interesting domestic and relationship things going on with Sagittarius, and this moon kind of puts a bow on it. If you're Capricorn, love it. Love this full moon. Love this cycle. It's a power cycle for you, Capricorn. You're freed as of November 19th. You're freed from all that personal, heavy, you're the manager, you're in charge, you're the CEO, the buck stops with you, and everything that had to do with what's working and what wasn't, and all the people that worked under you or for you, and how you didn't want to disappoint them, or you had to step up and fire them, or shut down, or resize the company and all that. With Capricorn right now, I feel like it's a well-deserved personal pleasure cycle. This full moon's in your 5th house. Scorpio is bouncing around in your house of dreams, dream weaving, allowing a whole new series of bright, shining components to come into your life and embrace that. New people, new ways of loving, new ways of living. You might buy yourself the car that you've always wanted, used or new. It may be as the markets start to bounce back, it's like, you know what, I've wanted that little MG since my teenage. I'm going to go get it, or I'm going to go get a Volkswagen. But whatever it is, it's something that you may really. I always wanted a really big ass water fountain in front of the place that I let go get it. If that's what you buy by January, it's your birthday cycle, late December and January, go get it, because this is a cycle where dreams are being anchored for you, Capricorn. I like it. If the full moon stirs up any kind of challenge that needs a different set of eyes put upon it, I would say it would be with children or grandchildren. And it may be how your children are not dealing with their children, therefore your grandchildren. So there may be some kind of thing that you're like, why would you let them talk to you like that? Or that's not healthy for them. Why did you just I'm tired, it's easier, I'll just let them eat all the whole bag of candy. I don't care, I'm tired, I had a rough day at work. But how does that help them? So there's going to be some dynamic that it might be the child or the grandparent, or problems with the pet sitter, or the people that deal with your child at daycare, or some kind of after school care, or the coaches or the principals or the teachers. There could be some kind of dynamic of some kind of power play where somebody needs to be put in check, even if that's your own child or your own grandchild. So it could be that you're coming in as some kind of a balm of comfort when the parent or the child's going through some kind of societal nemesis that's going on. If you're Aquarius, the full moon hits your 4th house. That has a lot to do with mother, nurturing, matriarchal, how you view your mother, how your mother helped strengthen you, how your mother seemed to be at odds with you. Did you feel nurtured by your mother? Let's not shame or blame, just answer the question. Did you feel like your mother helped you feel safe and hugged and secure, or was your mother still a child herself, or was your mother treated unfairly by a parent or another partner in the house? So Aquarians are kind of going through this, my mother is an interesting character in my playbook kind of a thing. She's probably the most interesting character right now. I see a lot of soul level, cellular level revelations and truths coming about when Nicole talked about deep truths and truths being exposed. You're going to learn some things about your mother's life and your mother's history and your mother's challenges and the things that she had to bear as a heavyweight and go through. If you're an Aquarius, and there could be new needs to take care of a mother figure with this. And it could be a dog getting ready to have puppies, and it's a mother experience that way. But there's something to do with that whole birth, death, aging, new life, and how that's affecting the whole mothering scenario for you Aquarians. And some Aquarians are stepping back going, wow, where did the time go? My child, my grandchild, they're now moving into young adult stage. Wow. And so there's a lot of those kind of like wide eyes open to do with how fast time's flying with parents or children around Aquarians. And the kids leaving home and doing their own jobs and getting married and having babies and all that. And finally, with the Pisces factor, I really, for a couple of months, I've really intuitively and astrologically liked the soft hugs and embraces of destiny and creativity and soft touches coming into Pisces' lives. They've gone through the brunt of Saturn in their signs, so they've had that 29 to 30-year-old or 58 to 60-year-old or 89 to 90-year-old point in their life. And those are the 3 points of when Saturn is sitting on our sun sign as we're turning 30, as we're turning 60, as we might turn 90. So Saturn sits hard on us at that time when it visits our sun. That's its dynamic cycle there, that 29 to 30-year-old cycle and 30-year cycle. And so right now, Pisces are beginning to see that they finally have the solution. They finally have the procedure. They finally are a voice that gets heard because they stepped away from all the victimhood and all the things that had gone wrong in their life, that kind of emotional, psychological trauma, to seek support and to seek someone to listen to them. And they really felt like they couldn't get out of the prison. They couldn't get out of the prison of their own fears and their own thoughts and their own frustrations and addictions and all of that. And so finally, Saturn, which rules Capricorn, we've had this Capricorn dance, brought about the right doctor, the right therapist, the right health coach, the right psychologist to help that person unlock themselves from the repetitive stench of all that seemed to go sideways in their childhood with their parents, how they were the lost child or the hidden child or the vanishing child because the parents had so much arguing or frustration going on between them. So the silent child, the hidden child, the child that ran into the corner or hid into the closet, with mom or dad are drinking again, or they're arguing again, or they're fighting about money, all that stuff. Pisces is a very, very sensitive sign. It's a psychic sponge, actually. And so Pisces is able to now dump a once in 30 years level of the sponge being so saturated, SpongeBob SquarePants. So when he's all filled up with all that ocean water, then he's like, he's ready to go. It's like he's been all pumped up with the life force of water that he needs. He's SpongeBob. But when he gets drained out or there's too much heat or he dehydrates, then he goes lifeless. He's in a state of paralysis. So I see Pisces coming out of psychological paralysis and how it made them so sick and so tired of the same old, and how now they're seeing actually surgical, holistic liberations of what they had to take either emotionally, romantically, mentally, financially. I feel like I can't escape this. I have to take this, and this is how I cope until I can escape this life prison or this battlefield or this hell on earth type of a thing. I really feel that Pisces are coming out of whatever was one of the most difficult series of battles to where they realized they had to stop the war with themselves. So in conclusion, I will say that I will congratulate Pisces. I will congratulate them for being able to not become embittered by all that, some of it absolutely harsh lessons and unfair that befell you, especially 14 years ago, and then 29 to 30 years ago. So if you look back at those points, whatever age you are now, if you're past the age of 30 or past the age of 31, look back when you were 30, look back 14 years ago when there was the other opposition, and look back at who or what was really pronounced and poignant in your life at that time, be it financial, intimate, a family crisis and chaos that goes on. All of the crisis and chaos, whether we keep it internalized and it makes us sick and tired, or we externalize it and we push people away and finally correct our own behaviors and level out and balance with the partner. Pisces is often where we put ourselves in prison, we addict ourselves, we enable, we deny, because Pisces is the sign of the 12th house. And as I told you at the beginning of this astrological journey for November of 2024, when we are in our 12th house, we spoke about it in Gemini, when we are in our 12th house, the month before you were born is the embryonic, about to go through a wild labor, a fight or flight experience. Your umbilical cord is going to get cut. So Pisces right now is now moving in to the new neighborhood, to the new apartment, to the new trailer, to the new house, to the new community, to the new concepts. It's like Pisces are actually moving into a whole new type of thing, like when we graduate from college or we have our skills as a nurse or an accountant or whatever it is, or we're actually opening up a practice of some kind, or we're on the football team. Pisces is now at that apex. They're at the point where it's like, hey, we're so glad. Yes, welcome. Come on in. It's your life. It's your turn. That's what I see for Pisces. I'm really excited for Pisces. And it's a moon. Yeah, it's a moon for us to look at our tangibles. And your first, and I'll conclude with this, Nicole, our first wealth is our health. Our first wealth has to do with, are we feeling like we're in line spiritually? Is our soul smiling? How's our inner world? How's our inner life? Our mind, our opinions, our beliefs, our psychological nature, our character development, and then how it plays out on our physical body. It always starts with your soul. If you've got a fractured or broken or wounded soul, start there. And that's the domain of Pisces. And that's what Saturn and Neptune right now are concluding their transits, saying to us, could you just do a little self-exam and see if there's some fracture points or some broken things that we're ready to heal that now. We have everything that you need to heal that. But can you honestly say to yourself, I don't feel any fractures or fault lines or brokenness in my soul. That's a good thing. Or those that say, oh, yes, I know exactly what that is. Just invite the holiest of hosts, the great I am. Let it have power over that. You've had plenty of years to try to do it your way. Let it have power. Let the serenity and the alchemical process of the Almighty I Am, Spirit, the resurrected Christ, God, however you want to define that, let it have its turn. I think you'll be remarkably repaired and happier than you've ever been.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to go through all of the signs. It's very, very much appreciated by the audience. They always love that. So thank you, Mary. And
Thank you.
it's going to be a very interesting day, November the 15th. I mean, our Saturn is going to go direct, and this full moon in Taurus is sure to bring some kind of unexpected something into your world, and it'll probably pertain to a little bit of what Mary has just shared with you. So pay attention. Use the information that you've learned today and see how you can take advantage of that, whether it's preparing for something, getting ahead of a potential challenge, so that when if it does hit, like you're already ready for it. It's so you're not going to take a big hit yourself. All of that is what we're trying to do to help you. So thank you, Mary, for coming on the show. So good to
And let
always
me
hear your voice. I mean, we are in our Scorpio Taurus part of the season. We always get to do this
love
two
it.
times a year.
I love it. And I will say this, Nicole, you and I would be a little remiss if we didn't remind them that coming into the American season of Thanksgiving, season of gratitude, I forgot to mention it. I don't remember if you did, so forgive me for not mentioning that. Our next Mercury retrograde will happen around the 25th, 26th of this month, and it's going to be in the inspirational fire sign of Sagittarius. So once again, as we started out this podcast with, we have of all the Mercury retrogrades, when Mercury retrogrades in Sagittarius, it's able to give us perspective easier, and we can do it right the first time because Mercury is weakest in Sagittarius. So when it retrogrades in Sagittarius, since Sagittarius is such a happy-ass philosophical energy, we can be bold and adventurous, and the new theory or the new procedure will take quicker, better, more effectively. But just get ready for that. Mercury retrograde means pause for the cause. Look at it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And of course, it's nice because you've got Jupiter in its home, Gemini. So there's a nice
Yes,
mutual
yes,
reception going on between them.
absolutely. So that's why I think we can be innovative. We can be simultaneously inspirational, and we can all of a sudden get the reciprocity, the reciprocal bounce of being inspired in the process of being encouraging. And that's a win-win, which is where we started this podcast. Let's go for the win-win for everything and everyone.
Yes. Yes. So, thank you once again, Mary, for joining me
Yes.
today. And to the audience, Mary and I adore you. Thank you so much for your support always. Please hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, and definitely please just leave a comment, whether it's just saying hey to Mary or myself or dropping a heart.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. It helps the algorithm so that more people find the work. And of course, if you'd like to book a one-to-one session with Mary, like where you get a reading, her website is marydusina.com. I'm leaving all of the links in the description below. And of course, if you'd like to come to the 3-day 180 retreat in May 15th to the 18th. I'm going to be doing that with Consuelo Casati in Breckenridge, Colorado. So I'd love to have you there. You can get more information to look at what's involved and what we're going to be doing in that link below. Guys, have an incredible week. And remember, just stay grounded. Stay
Yeah.
grounded as we
Yeah.
come up to this full moon, and know that things are definitely going to get spicy. Things are getting
Yep.
spicy. But
We're surfing a high wave of consciousness.
yes,
So remember, underneath the ocean wave is some sand. So there's the ocean floor. So find your footing on the ocean floor and ride the wave, because we're soul surfers.
yes, we are. So just remember, take everything in stride, and however way this is all going to continue to play out, just stay true to yourself, stay grounded. Remember compassion for yourself, compassion for others, and stay tuned till we come again next month for the next full moon in Gemini. Guys, have an incredible week, and Mary, I will see you
Thank you.
next month. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you all. Bless you all.
Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.